Oh, we back again. Hey, just want to say real quick, man, if you know better, you'll do better. A lot of us, man, we stuck in this place. I was just talking to a guy yesterday, and the crazy part with this guy, we was having the conversation, and like I was explaining to him, I said, man, you can go ahead and get you a house if you just go through these, steps. He was like, well, I think it's crazy because the dude went from paying 1,200, I think, a month to no, I'm sorry. He was paying 700 a month to 1,200 a month. What's going on, young? And the crazy part was like he felt like it was no way out. Like he was stuck in the rut, just can't get out of this hole. Um, he was staying in these townhouses, real nice townhouses, but like I said, he went from paying a little or nothing to a whole lot of something, and which he was kind of frustrated about it. And I mean, I for the love of me, I don't blame him. Uh, I asked him, did he like the community over there? Was he willing to move outside of that community? He was like, yeah, because this community over here is getting kind of rough. They had 3 car break-ins the night before, and so he just about had enough of that area. And that was the last straw with all those cars being broken into. And I expressed to him that what's going on, go P. And I expressed to him, hey man, go ahead and get you a house. And oh yeah, I'm gonna keep saying this throughout the broadcast. That link in the description is basically pretty much talking about the housing market in America, and the guidelines of things that people can look for when buying a house, the terms that a lot of the realtors use and things, so you can be informed, because that's always my biggest thing is giving people the information and letting you go out for yourself and be educated on it, because that's a lot of times within the community that we always suffer from the lack of education, the lack of knowledge of understanding what we doing, how we dealing with stuff. That's where we lose out at. A lot of times there's so many kids lose out education in school, that lack of knowledge, wasn't taught this stuff. So with you not being able to learn this stuff from your parents, Queen in the building, with you not being able to learn this stuff from your parents, you got to get it from somewhere, and hopefully a couple of people watch my video. I might even do a reaction to this video. I'm gonna try to, pull up on the content creator that made this video, and then, cause I really too much, pretty much for the most part, I don't care about the copyright strikes, cause like I said, it's not like I'm trying to make this channel something where I can make money. I mean, I would literally have to go through and take, I would say, about a couple of videos down that I've already did reviews on or played music just to start making money. I mean, I don't know. It's something that I'm doing right now, and like I said, I find joy in trying to help people out, give people the information, and after that, it's up to them. Whatever you want to do with the information, or kind of the stuff that I'm giving you, is up to you. So, like I told him, for the most part, I said, man, you'll be able to get a house. He's like, well, the interest rate is too high. I was like, when is it going to be a good time to buy? He's like, that's what I'm asking you. I don't know. Maybe this day, maybe this. And I'm like, it's never going to be a good time to buy. Trust me. Well, I told him, I said, it's never going to be a good time, because at the end of the day, you're always looking for the best deal. The best deal will pass you by at moment's notice, because why? You're steady waiting, hoping, and wishing. Just take the leap. You know, a lot of people scared to take the leap, and the biggest leap was, just actually going out here doing it and getting it done. As far as you looking for a house, hey, I mean, the house is not gonna fall in your lap. You got to do your research. I always tell a lot of people about Home Snap and A lot of people deal with the realtors. There's nothing wrong with that. Pretty much it's mainly up to you and how you want to actually handle things with you trying to get a house, because information is key. A lot of us, we tend to trust and believe everything that people say. We tend to not do any research, so therefore you have people that take advantage. um Real estate agents, sometime being one of them. And the thing of it is, it's their gimmick. For y'all, I'm kind of doing a little cleaning in my truck before I get ready to clock in and go to work. So that's why you hear some background noise. That's what that is. But like I say, for the most part, a lot of times agents, it's at their best interest to get you to buy a house. They don't care if you can make payments. I mean, you got some of them that got a heart that'll sit here and try to work it through, but majority, I mean, it just is what it is. They're out here on the grind. They out here trying to sell houses. They out here trying to make money. Don't get it twisted now. To a degree, these agents, they actually know what they're doing. They're pretty smart, intelligent. But Alonzo says it best when he talks about him selling life insurance. He only eat what he kills. So in that case, you gotta look at most of the agents the same way. They only make money when they're able to sell a house. If an agent doesn't sell a house, they don't get paid. Then you gotta look at the fact of the matter is, a lot of agents, depending on the market that they're in, they can go 6 months, they can go 4 months. Some of them go, 8 months, close to a year before they sell a house. You know, so they end up having to get second jobs. They end up having to do something because sometimes if you're a good agent, you're selling the house pretty much on a regular. You know, you got your mode right, you got your promotion right. You're actually selling houses like crazy. Then you have the ones that have to get that secondary job because when it comes down to it, they haven't found that niche or that clientele or those referrals to get themselves in the game to hang or so-called be with the other top tier agents that are out here just knocking it out the park each and every week. So they have to subsidize as far as getting a job and doing things. There's no knock to them. It's just that sometimes when you getting into the game, as the old school people say, you got to get out there and get your feet wet. So it tends to happen to most of those guys out here doing it that way. So to me, it's really nothing wrong with that. Hey, you getting in, getting in. You got to have some growing pains. You got to come in and learn. It's a process, and a lot of times you hear the whole method, and is similarly true. This is chess, not checkers. I mean, to a degree, a lot of times people are playing checkers while trying to play chess because they're not knowing. And that's where it comes down to me trying to give this little knowledge here. This little quarter water, 50-cent knowledge for you to grasp a little bit of this concept and, do more research on it. But anyhow, when it comes down to it, a lot of us have to, learn the processes on things and which the way they work. I told you the story I had about a situation with me buying my first house, and it kind of went down. But the thing of it was, Wanda, how you doing in the building? Spawn, make sure I don't miss everybody. Like I said, I'm moving around. But when it comes down to it, just getting the knowledge, that's the number one thing that hurts a lot of people is trying to get the knowledge because you spend all your time trying to sit here and get the free information, trying to get stuff for without doing any research. And it tends to be to a point where people take advantage of that. If I know you're green, I know you pretty much don't know certain things, and it's in my best interest. I was just talking to my wife about some financial stuff we was working on, and I told her it's best not to pull the trigger. Let's dial back a little bit. Let's give it a couple of months and let's go from there. You know, because any business or anything you encounter, always it's got to be money. But the number one thing that you really need amongst all that is the knowledge. Because you can have all the business smarts in the world, you can be successful at things, but not having the knowledge, it'll hurt you. And oh yeah, I'm gonna actually bring my coach in, and I got a he just wrote a book called The Blind Side Champion. So I'm actually gonna be reading the book first before I invite him on. I'm gonna do an interview with him, and kind of let him come in, talk about some things about his video. I mean, about his book, and we go from there. But majority of the time, man, we gotta stay focused, and getting our money right is good. But the main thing is setting the tone on the knowledge. Like I said, with that video I just put it in the description, you can go back and look at it later. Hey, you can go back and look at it right now. Come back and look at this. It's up to you. I'm not the one to judge. Hey, I can get the views on the back end, or I can get them on the front end. You know, it's up to you. But the main thing is for people getting the knowledge. That's what I'm really more focused on is people getting the knowledge, having an understanding. You don't have to settle. There's certain things, there's certain programs, there's certain ways, certain things you put yourself in, you literally don't even know what you're doing. Go out here and seek the knowledge. And that hurts a lot of people getting the knowledge because you set yourself back. You do yourself a disservice by not doing the research, and people, so called, as they say, pull the wool over your head and just giving you information that's false, not true, um, just stringing you along because they know you're green. They know you don't know this information. They know they can get you with this. They know they can get you with that. And mainly, like I said, it's just to a point to where you have to go out here and do it yourself because in most cases, like I said, it's in the best interest of the agent to do this. And I was just talking to a guy, and he was saying he was gonna call an agent to see about getting approved for a house. I said that's the wrong thing to do. And he was like, "What do you mean?" I said the first step with you getting approved for a house, go through a broker, go through your bank, go through anybody but that agent first, because the agent is only going to show you the house. They're not writing a bank loan. They can pretty much rationalize over the course of certain um people they already sold houses to, and they can say, well, you can get approved for this, or I got somebody approved for that. Everything is not structured the same. What I get approved for, you might not get approved for. I mean, take for instance the situation with Bank of America. Bank of America got a class action lawsuit for not giving all the customers that went and filled out applications for housing. They wasn't doing right. They actually had, in some cases, some of the people were paying more according to the color of their skin. I mean, we know this is a thing, and it's been going on in America. Redlining, you know. Bruce, what's going on? Got Tamika in the building, and the redlining has always been an issue to a degree. There's always been ways to hide it. There's always been ways to make it don't exist. But in the end, redlining is like a clutch within the black community in general. Because in certain cases, you shut people out of these areas and they can't afford them. They feel like it's no options, no ways, they're going to lose. And typically, most of the time, that is the case. When it comes down to it, a lot of times there are certain areas that, they want to remain a certain type of, people that stay in there. But knowing the laws, knowing how to move around there, you can easily get a house in a red line area by having someone step in as a representative for you in buying the house. You know, buying it under a company name, or there's different ways. I mean, because some people have names that are pretty much, let's just say, giveaways. You know, within certain houses. But like I said, knowing the knowledge can help you move past these hurdles. And basically, for the most part, this is a lot of times where I try to promote these videos for people to go out here and do the knowledge and understand, the terms in which they're, trying to get a house and how they can deal with certain things. Because that's the whole thing. With you knowing the knowledge, you're able not to be getting scammed or people trying to, so-called, as they say now, run a play on you to, benefit themselves instead of benefiting you. Because let's have an understanding. Far as the bank, far as the agent who sells you the house, it is in, take this tape real quick. It's in their best interest to sell the house. It's in their best interest to get more money off of you when garnering these deals. So they're not looking to benefit you, to help you to a degree, you know, because yeah, they can. It, it gets kind of shaky because a lot of times I always talk to people, and I actually want to be in the room when they do the negotiations, because if you have two agents that are crooked, they'll sit here and argue back and forth to the degree. I mean, even with friends, it's a 50-50 on that. You can have a friend that's your agent and they can, look out for you, give your best interest, or by you trusting them and the people knowing, hey, you can get screwed as well. So it's a 50-50 on that. But, say the least, when it comes down to it, a lot of times your best interest is you knowing the knowledge. Because if you know the knowledge, it's harder for people to get over on you when you know the knowledge. In most cases, you have situations where a lot of agents, they're going after the best deal. So they want to literally get you to buy the bigger house. And the bigger house is what? More commission for them. You got the broker, you know, they want you to get the loan, but then they also want you to get a little more on the interest rate. Because why? The more on the interest rate, what? The better percentage is for them. I think one of the agents I was dealing with, I was talking to a lady and she hit me on game for every point that the agent can get off of. That's, more, money going into the broker's pocket, is more money going into um the agent who set up the deal's pocket. So it's a lot of times, good. So the more you spend, the better it is for them. And like I said, in most cases, I think this is the thing I was looking for my truck. Hey man, you clean your car, you find some things. And so, like I say, but the crazy part is a lot of us just don't know this stuff. So we're actually listening to the agents. I mean, if they tell us that if we can only buy houses on blue sunny days, and with you not knowing the knowledge, what are you gonna do? You're perceiving that this person has your best interest, so you're gonna listen to them, and whatever they're telling you, you're trusting that they're gonna make the right decision to do what? Help you out, you know. And when you're not getting that from that agent, then what's gonna happen? So a lot of times you will have these situations like that to where you're, trusted and hoping in this agent get you the best deal. They've been got you the best deal. It's just their whole thing is to figure out what is the best opportunity for them. So with you knowing certain things, it kind of puts you in an advantage to where you won't get taken advantage by the agent. You won't get taken advantage by the broker, because if the agent is doing something wrong, stop him in his tracks. You can go find another agent. You know, the broker is trying to give you a bad deal. One, for instance, the situation I had, this broker sit there. And I've noticed this a lot. Every time I deal with somebody and they're telling me in the middle of a transaction they're going on vacation or something, to me, I kind of look at that as a red flag because if you're my broker and you're going on vacation, and there's nothing wrong with that, but from what I've been noticing, a lot of times I deal with brokers and agents that go on vacation during the middle of this transaction, it kind of falls apart. You know, for instance, I had one friend. He was closing on the house. Company was a pretty good company. Dealt with the company before on a previous situation, and day of closing, the agent had nobody to fill in for him, which he said he did. But the problem was with that person filling in, either they forgot or he just didn't thoroughly explain. So it got to the degree this guy's at the closing table. He has to wait a whole nother probably hour before someone there that can represent him on his side. The seller, they're literally sitting there, with their agent, their paperwork, their lawyer, all this stuff ready to sign the paperwork, and nobody's there from him to represent him at the closing table. So it happens like that, and saying to a degree, simple mistakes, it might not be as bad, but it costs people long term. So that's why I say for you to actually go out here and learn this knowledge about buying a house. I mean, simple and plain. Looking at the housing market now, like I was telling the guy, he was explaining how he didn't want to buy a house because the interest rates were so high. I was like, so when are you going to buy the house? When the interest rate get low? And he was like, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I told him, I said, well, what if the interest rate never gets low? What if the interest rate gets low in the next 15 years? It goes back down to 3% in 15 years. But within those 15 years, the rate of return on a house, if you would have bought it at a high interest rate in 2023, would be a whole lot better than buying a house at 4% and 2020, let's say in 2035. you know in 2035, it'll been a whole lot more. I mean, the interest rate is small, but then the rate on the return, because the house is more expensive. That's the thing. Inflation. A lot of people are looking at the interest rate and looking at it being so high. You're not counting for inflation. you know as of right now in Georgia, last week gas was at 315. I just passed the gas station today. Gas was 369. Within 2 weeks, um, like the inflation rate is just crazy. You know, went up about 50 some cent already. I'm like, man, well, what, 45? But I'm looking at, I'm like, dang, man. Like, and the crazy part is, and a lot of people don't know this. I mean, to a degree, I just started learning this. Even with gas, the gas gets more higher towards the weekend. Wednesday was they raised the gas prices. Monday, coming off the weekend, everything's settling, you're good. When it gets to a degree, hey, they're jacking those prices up come Tuesday, depending on how bad it is, or they'll let us settle to Wednesday. But definitely Wednesday coming through, oh, they're raising that price on that gas. Okay, well, we have to account for this, or we have to account for that. No, I mean, understand it. Their bottom line. They have to, you know, do what's in their best interest and make their money. So, hey, they're going to raise those prices. And it's up to you to be informed till you get the best deal out. So you're doing your homework. Same thing what I was just talking about with buying a house. The rates are going to go up. So what are you going to do to, combat the rates? I mean, simple and plain, you can easily wait it out and hope for the best, or go ahead and get a house now, because depending on the rates, you're not gonna sit here and wait out the government. Trust me. I mean, they have deeper pockets, They can wait it out longer than you. The banks can sit here and keep this going for the next 5 or 10 years. From I just looking at a video, someone said they're going to be a crisis in 2025. So we got to look at that. And I'm like, to a degree, I don't really do the whole conspiracy theory thing, but uh, recently, the way it's been going, I'm looking more into these conspiracy theories because, I mean, 2020 was a shock to a lot of people. And for those who actually started looking on these crazy videos, there were people talking about this beforehand. There were, you have what is the Lysol already had the C 19 on the cans. So I mean, just in general, you got to be able to do your homework. You got to know what you're getting yourself into. Um, Basically, looking at this housing market, it's not going to get better. You know, technically, it might end up getting worse. So it's kind of up to you to figure out what are your options and what you want to deal with. You can buy a house now at a high interest rate, low price on the house, or you can buy a house later at a high price on the house with a low interest rate. I mean, even in high school, I remember when the interest rate, when I went and looked back, the interest rate is like 7%, 12%. And I'm like, dang, that was high. And it got to a point when, getting our house, it was like at four something. So I'm like, what are we going to do? Sit here and keep waiting, when the market goes back down? I mean, if you have the money, it's in your best interest to actually go to the table, in my opinion, now, because you can always refinance. That's always the thing that people don't give you that option of refinancing. A lot of people don't know the terms of how to refinance. A lot of people don't know refinancing is an option that they got. Even to a degree, look at the issue of HELOCs. A lot of people have houses and you need to borrow some money, do a HELOC. If you don't want to refinance, you don't want to get your interest rate down, you don't want to lose all that equity in the house, do a HELOC. Take some money out, and it's a trick to paying your interest down on your house. Do your research. This is the big thing. If somebody like me or another channel, or just in general, family or whoever, comes along, give you a little information, take it with a grain of salt. Have an understanding. This is only partial. Go look for the professionals. Go look for the professionals that know how to do this stuff. Talk to them. If you really want to do the research, and you'll find out this information. That's the biggest thing with a lot of people not getting out here figuring things out. You're only, one click away from being entertained, but you don't want to sit here and gain the knowledge so you can get yourself out of financial debt. I mean, I always say this a lot. When it comes down to it, I don't want to be old and broke and trying to figure out life. I want to have certain things figured out. What's going on, Kev in the building? Crafty in the building. Sorry, y'all. Just had my phone sitting down, so I'm actually to my phone now. Wanda, what you got there? That's a Jeep. See a thumbnail. It is a Jeep tricked out. Yeah. So when it come down to it, like I say, it's just plain and simple. Buying a house right now, the best options I would look at is going to a broker first, figuring out my options. Going to a credit union is a good deal too. Going towards most banks, it's a 50-50 for me. And the only reason I say 50-50, because for one, they can deny you easy. Most banks will deny you easy. Sometimes the best bank is not the one that you bank with. When me and my wife bought our house, we went with a different bank. They gave us better options. You know, it was better options. I mean, honestly speaking, shopping around, looking what banks have to offer first time home buyers. A lot of times you can go to the closing table with only the closing costs, no down payment, because you're a first time home buyer. They have a whole bunch of programs. In Georgia, they have the first time home buyer. They got the Georgia Dream, and I did not know this too as well. After 3 to 4 years, you actually you can use that first time home buyer act again. And a lot of people who buy houses and end up wanting another house, as long as you're renting your other house out, you can buy another house as a first time home buyer. You know, have the house, buy it, stay in it, and it's tricks of the trade. And I mean, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not telling you how to do things undercut or under the table. But I see so many people with money do this all the time. They will literally buy a house, stay in it for a year, turn around, rent it out, go buy another house, and so they can skip the investor part of actually buying homes that way. Because if you're buying a home as an investor, that's 25% down. There's no 3.5 FHA, there's no 20% conventional. No, you're an investor. 25% down. You can tilt that a little bit and do a 15% or a 10% depending on how you structure it and depending on who you deal with. But majority of the time, the investors are going to pay that much money. So that's why I say do your research. Like I say, buying a house right now is the best opportunity. Um, Passive income. You can buy a house right now, $1,200, rent it out 18. You, Even if you buy a house for $1,200 and only rent it out for 14, you're making an extra $200. You know, the insurance is through the house. You're paying the mortgage, all the PMI, all that stuff is in your loan. You can get the extra $200 and get a home warranty for $100 or 200, depending on how you want to structure that home warranty. They normally typically run about 100 something. Do your research on the home warranties because a lot of people that's their biggest thing about buying a house. Well, what if the AC goes out? What if the furnace or the heater goes out? What if the hot water tank? Hot water tanks are so expensive now, $800. You can get a cheap one for six, but you get what you pay for. You're not gonna get 50 gallons. You're gonna get something smaller. At the rate is, like the difference between commercial and residential. You spend a little more money, you look at the quality of the hot water heater, you're gonna typically get a better deal, you're gonna get more gallons. My cousin, he went with this company I never heard of, called A Smith, and it's a commercial water heater he got from a guy that puts in water heaters. He talked to the guy at Lowe's. He was getting one of the ones, I think, Raheem or something like that at Lowe's. He was gonna grab one of those and end up getting that one. And the best deal he had. His water gets so hot, he knew how to turn it down. Of course, they try to trick you and turn them up, say that the hot water gets hot fast. It's a gauge on the hot water heater that you can turn it up and down. I learned that a little bit by dealing with some plumbers. So it's all the little tricks and trades of things. You know that home warranty will save your life. I literally would have had to pay $4,500 to get a new roof on my house. Got paid through that. Had a leak and the compressor on the compressor of my AC unit. I think 43 after it was all set. No, not 43. It was 23 or 33 after it was all said and done because they came out several times and the bill was like crazy. But I didn't have to pay none of that. They went from trying to fix my unit to saying it was going to be 1,200 to fix and end up replacing with a new unit, which was like 24 something after all the work. And the only thing I came out of pocket with my home warranty was a $97 for a plastic concrete for it to go on top of because they bust the concrete that I originally had for the other unit. to put the plastic one and all that. Yeah, it's just a charge, you know. But other than that, cool. Didn't have no problem with that, you know. Again, refrigerator went out, you know. And the bad part about it was I bought literally two refrigerators. I bought a new one. I bought a used one. I bought a brand new what was it, Samsung or LG, one of them, and the freezer cord kept jamming and freezing up to where I had to unplug it, let it thaw out. I'm like, I'm not going through this with my refrigerator. You know, had it for like a year and a half or something out of the warranty. Didn't really get a warranty on it. Out of it, the factory warranty after that year. So I ended up getting a used one. I think I got a used between LG and Samsung. That's what I was getting because I like the technology on there. The ice maker, no, what was the Frigidaire? I bought a Frigidaire. The ice maker went out in 6 months on a used one, and the guy gave me a 6 month warranty on it because it was used. End up with that Frigidaire, I was like, man, I'm gonna have to go buy a new one. My wife ended up talking to the people from the home warranty. They end up telling us, like, did y'all look at y'all contract? Your cover. I thought it was just the major things like roof, the AC unit, the water heater, major. It was like, no, minor appliances too. We cover your they told me, they said we cover your stove, which I bought a new stove like 2 days, no, it was a day, what, 2 days before Thanksgiving. Stove went out. I bought a brand new stove, brought it upstairs myself. Do not encourage people to do that. It was crazy on my back. I was hurting for like a couple of days, but we had Thanksgiving dinner. Crazy. I thought I could do it. I was young. I used to do that. I'm older. My body breaking down. All right, but back to jokes. Um, I bought a dishwasher. Wasn't nothing wrong with the dishwasher, but I wanted everything to match. So I got all black dishwasher, a black stove, and the stove has chrome on it. So I bought the new refrigerator through my home warranty. They said that they was gonna give me money for a refrigerator. They said, well, we'll give you 2,200. And I was like, 2,200 is good for a refrigerator. Till I went to Home Depot and all these other places and actually looked at how much these refrigerators cost, $4,000. I was like, man, $2,200 is nothing for it. But the thing of it is, I went to a scratch and dent place through Lowe's, and you talking about, I actually got the refrigerator at $2,200. With the tax, I end up paying, I think it's like a two something out of pocket. But other than that, great refrigerator, still work. It's a GE profile. It's real nice. Got the water ice maker on there, water on the door. Got the air freshener thing in the back with the display light and honeycomb. Is nice. Has the French doors at the top with the freezer at the bottom, and it has a secondary cooler or freezer in the middle. But I couldn't have got a better deal. I think I looked that thing up. It was like $5,200 brand new. $5,200 brand new, and the dents weren't even that crazy on it. It was like a dent at the bottom and a dent on the side, and once you push it in the hole, you'll never see it. So home warranties are good, and that's what help people save money. Look for the best things. That's why I keep telling people, do your research. I actually got that home warranty, believe it or not. I went to this place called Snellville Day out here by my old house where I used to live at. My kids wanted to go out there and see a couple of their friends, my younger kids. So I took them out there, and they had fun playing and stuff with all the little kids at the park. And I ended up talking to a guy, got a life insurance policy, and got that warranty that day. It was crazy. I already had a policy, ended up getting them, then end up I'm getting into life insurance with Alonzo as well. I mean, just the multipliers. But the biggest thing that like I'm trying to push with people right now is buying a house. If you study long, you study wrong. You know, depending on when the interest rates are going to go up or down, look at your best options. See your money because right now you're probably in a good opportunity to buy a house. Might not be in the area that you want to stay in, but the point of it is buying a house now prevents you from this hike. One of my friends, prime example, but rented a house. He been in this house for 9 years. He started off paying 975 in the house. By the time he got ready to move, the rent on the house was I think it was 17 to $1,800. In 9 years, it damn near went up $100 a year. Damn near $100 a year. And it's just like a lot of times nobody's giving us these jewels. Nobody's trying to help us work through this process. And all they're doing is just entertaining and entertaining. I don't have nothing wrong with the entertaining channels. They're cool. I like them. I like documentaries as well. I like to be entertained. O'Shea with his crazy videos with the celebrity junk, and still retaining the information is key. A lot of times we have all this time where we having fun, everything's cool. You got to get the information. You can't be lacking on the information because in the end, it's a process in which we need to handle things, for us the future generations. If you have kids or don't have kids, why you don't look at getting a house for yourself, you know, save money. Getting a house will help you save money in a 15, 20-year process than you sitting here trying to, rent things out. I'm gonna say this and I'm done. Gotta look at my phone. People coming in. Bronze, what's going on? Got my phone set now, so I wasn't really looking. But I end up knowing a friend. He end up well, actually, this is my brother friend. Um, he end up inheriting his grandmother's house. I don't know if he was like the only child or whatever, or how his grandma did it, but she basically put him down as getting the house, and all her kids didn't want the house. Nobody lived in the house. Grandma went into a nursing home. Nobody lived in the house for years, but the house was paid off, and they were just paying. The family was just paying the taxes out of her money, the grandma's money, because she didn't want her house to go. So when the grandmother passed, she left the grandson the house. Everybody was telling him to sell the house, you know, get him a little profit or something like that, trying to do normal. And my brother was explaining to him, he was like, man, why don't you just stay in the house? This guy was saying, man, I don't want to stay in that house. Man, that house old, that house this, that house that. He was like, dude, you got a house that's paid off and you rather go pay for a house than to, have a house that's brand new and paid off and just go ahead and stay in that. Man, that's like just typical. End up getting to the point where the guy end up saying he gonna stay in the house. Went had a condo. I think he was paying 15 or something like 15 or $1,800 for the condo. So every month when he wasn't paying the mortgage, he would take that money and go find something to fix in the house. And the biggest thing that he didn't want to keep the house for was he had a hole in the floor. So it was a hole that was probably I say 5 feet wide or something. So that was one of the turnoffs for him not wanting the house too. He ended up fixing that hole, replacing all the hardwood on the floor. It was a ranch house, I think 3, 4 bedrooms, 3, 4 baths included. And what's going on, Dr. Dunbar? On the spot and conscious. And the crazy part about this guy fixing that floor, easy, no problem. I think in 2 checks, because I think he had spent like close to 3,000 some dollars replacing the floors with the materials. Got somebody to do it real cheap for him. Then came back in, put all new cabinets in. Found it on OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace. Some of the stuff. Put new cabinets in there. And every paycheck, he was just fixing on the house. Had a housewarming. Everybody was amazed about this house. He literally had no mortgage. All he had to do was just pay the taxes and then and insurance on the house. no mortgage. So he was saving tons of dollars. Like a lot of times people want something new so much. And I seen this this YouTube where a guy say, you know, if you want something new, you got to take something old and make it new if you don't have any money. He's like, because broke people can't complain about having new stuff when you don't have money. You just got to take something old and make it new. And I was laughing at the situation, but he was actually telling the truth. When you don't have money, you got to do it with the best that you got, and that's the key for a lot of people on the spot. I haven't seen you go live in a minute. Um, but the biggest thing, hold on, no, on the spot. I was on your live the other day. I'm thinking of somebody else. But yeah. But it's just a lot of times we'll sit here and have so much resources to, help us gain knowledge and get this information, but we literally just being dumbed down by all the entertaining and the laughter and stuff in society. That's why I'm trying to inform my kids now that my biggest clinch with my kids, my younger kids, is keeping those phones out of their hands. You know, that's the biggest clinch with my younger kids is keeping the phones out of their hands because a lot of times it's at the hip now. A lot of these kids, you know how many things. My son, if he sneezes wrong, I'm taking his phone. I'm like, oh, you sneeze too hard, taking your phone. I'm like Puffy in the house. Hey, I'm closing down the studio. Y'all messed up. Hey, and that's my kids looking at me as being so mean. My wife is, oh, you've been a tyrant to these boys and this and that. But for me to actually put them in the mindset, I told my oldest kids, they grown now. I said, you ain't got to like me, but you gotta respect me. That's the only thing I ask. You ain't gotta like me, but you gonna respect me. And that's the thing. Putting them in the mind frame to where they need to get this knowledge. Like now, um, I think my sons they ain't clean they room right. So I was like, oh, both of y'all didn't clean y'all rooms? Okay. Y'all didn't hang up the clothes like I told you? Hey, hey, thanks to Xfinity, this is a plug. I'm not getting paid for this. But that X what's it called X5, the internet box, I can cut off the internet in the house through all devices. Some of the devices I can label the devices up under their names. My one son has a Oculus, he has a laptop, he has a cell phone, and have a Google. And each one of my kids have those four things: Oculus, laptop, cell phone, and Google Home in their own room, to where I can use the Googles as intercom. I have I think it what three Googles. I have one in each one of my kids' room, and I have a one in the kitchen and the dining room area, to where if I want to cook, that is the Google Max, where I can go in there and this video chat people, and I can do all that. So I can literally call my kids from my phone on my Google with Google Meet, and I can talk to them that way. Look, getting back into it with that X5, I have all their names set up to where if they do something wrong, I can literally cut off all their internet for all their devices. On some of their devices, like they've been having a tutorial that I pay for every month, and they give them work, and if anything they don't understand, they call the hotline. It helps them out. I'm not ashamed to say this. One of my sons, he's horrible in math. This dude, ever since he was a kid, he literally do not get math. His brother breezes through math easy. Reading doesn't have a problem with that. His comprehension on some things are kind of balanced. So that's why I'm trying to get him on that comprehension side. But his other brother's horrible in math. I pay for a tutor, you know. And that's the thing, having patience with your kids. A lot of us don't have patience because we know how to do it. The teachers were patient with us, so we can't get that concept. So that's why I pay a tutor that can teach kids and have those patience to deal with the kids. You know, sometimes that strong old school way it works. It didn't work with my kids, so I ended up switching tutors and went with somebody else. This older lady, she was good at what she did. She teach kids well, but she was direct, and some kids don't learn that way. My wife, she was kind of timid about it. I said, look, it worked for thousands of other kids that graduated from her, so why not? But I'm getting all off the subject about this housing and everything. But just food for thought. Teach if you got kids, keep them under control. Get them busy doing stuff. Like I said, I got my kids who about to do this grow challenge where I'm gonna get each one of them one or two seeds, show them how to germinate the seeds, then turn around, show them how to put them in the ground, grow. I'm gonna have them do research from YouTube and other sources to where they can learn how to grow, particularly either the plant, the fruit, or the vegetables that they're gonna be growing. The flower, and go from there. That's one thing to keep them off the phone for a little bit. Another thing is I got a lot of things for them, but it just more or less got to keep them occupied. But back to the housing market, like I said, getting a house, it don't matter if the interest rate are high right now. In my opinion, I'm letting it be clear. My opinion, anytime is a good time to buy a house. You know, the interest rate is high. Once it drops, you can refinance. But the thing is, you can't get the house at that price when the interest rate drops. If I see a $300,000 house at, let's say, 8%, $300,000 house at 8%, whew, that's high. You know, interest added on is gonna be crazy. I'm looking at paying almost 58,000, five, let's say $580,000 on a $300,000 house after a 30-year mortgage. Or I could sit here and buy that house later on down the line, but that same $300,000 house later on down the line, it's at $500,000 at 4%. That 500,000 at 4% is still garnering me. I'm gonna end up paying like what is it, close to $750,000 on that $500,000 house, extra 250,000 compared to the other house. I was gonna pay close to 280,000, 200, almost 300,000. You know, and there's ways of paying your houses off faster. A lot of people, it just like with your car, paying on the principal every other month or paying one extra payment every other month, or every other year on the principal, it knocks the interest rate down. See, you got to know the rules and the regulations. A lot of people do research on this. A lot of people study this to pay their houses off faster. That's one of the best things for them to do is figure out how to pay my house off faster, how to cut down this interest rate to where I'm not paying double. Because if you look at the numbers on your house when you buy the house, look at the interest rate, seeing from year one to year 30, they have it broken down showing you that you're going to almost pay double the price of your house. If you have a $300,000 house, 9 times out of 10, after it's all said and done, you're going to pay a little bit over $300,000, depending on the fees, the PMI, and in most cases, you don't have PMI dealing with some loans that you go through. So, like I said, it's just all about doing research. Really, just all about doing research on this. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here. I've been sitting for a minute, but this conversation hits home, so it gets interesting with me. Just trying to inform people about this stuff. Like I said, I'm not no big old financial advisor, and I'm not gonna tell you all this. Man, look, I always tell you, do your research. It's up to you to literally do your research. I can tell you the wrong information 100% of the time. If you're doing your research, you'll catch me in a lie every single time. So for a lot of us, we need to be sitting here doing our research, figuring out what we want to do. You know, see, prime example. Kev, what's going on? See, and it hits different in different states, you know, and that's the thing. See, depending on where you stay, the market and stuff like that, it's always a thing. So do your research, learn. You know, if I'm interested in buying a car, I'm looking at all the do's and the don'ts. I used to have a website that tells you everything that's right and wrong with every car. I've been looking for it, try to find it again, but every time I look up the do's and the don'ts on buying cars, I look up the things that go out on the cars the most. And I mean, if I would have knew that about that Hyundai, about the Kia boys, how they can steal those cars as well, I probably would have never got that car because I didn't tell people too much about this, but I got my car stolen. You know, got my car stolen, got it back, but at the same time, it's like a hassle to have to go through that. And I get it. I was a young kid, and I did stupid stuff. I'm not gonna accept or deny or anything else, but just know I did stupid stuff. And hey, it's like karma coming back on you. But at the same time, buying a house it is all up to you. You can buy one now, you can buy one later. You can pay high interest rate now, you can pay low interest rate later, but due to inflation, the same house you want is going to be phew, off the chain. You know, um, just in general, like I said, come out here, do your research, figure out what you want to do, know your options, because the biggest thing with a lot of people is not knowing their options. You know, the biggest thing with people in figuring out their whole game plan into becoming financially stable, how much house can you afford? You know, don't get it twisted. I've said it earlier. Don't sit here and let an agent tell you you can afford this house. Don't sit here, feel comfortable with the house that you buy, because ultimately you're staying in this house. You're making these payments. Don't let no one influence you on buying a house that you don't feel comfortable. I don't care how good the house look, the look of the house will fade when you can't pay it. The biggest thing with my wife, when we was looking at our first house, and I was on the finance side, didn't want her to be on it. And the number one thing I told her, and I told her a while back, she got mad at me. I told her we only can afford $180,000 house. First I said 150, then I said 180. I was approved for 370. Everybody like, well, if you approved for 370, why didn't you get a $370,000 house? I don't want to be at the top of my budget. You know, that's the top of your budget. What I qualify for with my money, with just my money alone. You, hey, you always want to buy low. Like my thing when we bought our house, that's why I kept pushing my wife to get something cheaper. Because in the end, if we buy a $180,000 house, you know how much of a cushion we have. I was talking to somebody. I used to work for a sub company through the IRS, and the lady I talked to, I knew her brother. I went to school with her brother, and the biggest thing that me and her talked about, that she bought a house for $80,000, fixed it up. It was worth $200,000 after they fixed it and everything. She rented a house out, went and got another one, did the exact same thing, and she just kept doing that, buying these small cheap houses, fixing them and flipping them, fixing them and flipping them to rentals, not selling, to rentals. She said she's going to build up her portfolio. She's working there at the IRS. Within a couple of years, she's going to take all that money that she made from flipping and fixing and flipping, and she's just going to retire. The houses are paying for themselves because the people who are staying there, they're paying the mortgage. They're paying a little extra that can go in her pocket, and she takes that money to save it just in case anything goes wrong that she can put towards the house, you know. And with multiple houses, you got multiple savings from each house that you can, do a little bit with. But like I said, do your research, get to the knowledge, find this stuff out for yourself. You know, I'm only telling you to get the ball started. Everything after this is on you. You know, a lot of times, like I said, I went from the entertaining side, talking to people, laughing, joking, did the gender war stuff. Now I'm into guarding and everything. Finance always been my thing. Looking at business, far as um, owning your own business, I was heavy into that. Started different companies. Figured I want to work for another company. Don't want to work for myself. I'm looking at going back into working for myself again. But the biggest thing is I've always done research. I've always talked to people. You know, I never had people that can guide me in that field unless I went and did the research or found these people. You know, in other communities, you have people that's within these fields. They bring their kids to these people to enlighten them, let them know these things. So this is basically what I'm just giving everybody food for thought. Do your research on it. Figure out what are your options. You know, until next time, you know what I always say, we here and we gone.